Thank you for joining us today. We have a great panel. So these three here to my left are the behind-the-scenes rock stars of live music. I am very privileged to share a stage with these three. And as just mentioned, I'm sure they've got many, many stories to share with you today. Some of them may not be okay to share. We'll have to check it as we go. Well, let's get into this. I want to share some really interesting statistics that I think are a bit sobering. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but less than half of 1% of all artists can make a living off streaming their music. Did you know that? Less than half of 1% can pay all their bills streaming their music, okay? Licensing and sync is a viable option to make money as an artist, but it's a long game play, and it's not easy. It's not easy. So another revenue stream option, but not easy and not immediate. This leaves us with the business of live, okay? And just so we're using a shared vernacular here of what I mean when we're talking about live, and there's gonna be a pop quiz at the end here, so listen closely, okay? Here's what I mean when I say live. I mean the artist, the manager, the promoter, the talent buyer, the venue, the tour manager, the production manager, road crew, merchandising, fan club, ticketing, security, marketing and publicity, brand sponsorship, and if you're lucky and you are in a bigger production and you have more financial resources, we also have a tour accountant, transportation, because we need buses and trucks and drivers, and catering. Don't forget the food. Okay. There's one thing, here's your pop quiz. There's one thing, very, very important thing that's missing from this list. Anybody know who it is for the win? What is it? The artist, first thing I said, the artist, thank you. Yes, that is the most important person on the list. Thank you very much, the artist, right. It's missing one very important part. Yes, in the back. The engineer. I don't think I have him on the list, or her. Thank you. They are not on the list. For the win, it's the engineer, but there was something else. Yes, you got it. The fan.
Local H.
The fan. Thank you. What's your name? Alex. Alex for the win. Thank you. And in the back for the win. Thank you. We cannot do anything in live without the fan and the artist. They are the two most important aspects. None of us would have jobs without them. The fan pays everyone's bills. Let me say that again. In the business of live, the fan pays everyone's bills. Everybody I just listed would not have a job if we didn't have fans. So before we dive into the importance of all the things we're gonna get to of live in this panel, who here is a fan? I hope I see every hand raised, right? We are investors of live. That's how I choose to see it. If you want to see live shows in clubs and small spaces, not just the arena acts, but the independent acts in the independent rooms, get out there and use your dollars to support live shows. That is so fundamental to this conversation today. And I thank you for your support in advance. Now on to it. So why am I standing here yelling at you? I am LJ, and I'm a 30-year vet in the industry. The majority of my time I've spent in live as a performer, as an artist, as a dancer, as a manager, as an agent. I moved into club concert ticketing. I oversaw club concert ticketing for Ticketmaster, TicketWeb, and Eventbrite. I headed up North American market strategy for their music department. And finally, I got into coaching, because coaching for me is helping all the people in all the aspects. And so live music is near and dear to my heart. And I'm just so excited to get into this panel now. Moving into what I do now, I work for CoMuse. I'm the founder, and it is a transformational coaching community where we help people manage their stress while they're managing their careers, the volatility of the entertainment business, right? It goes up and down from day to day. So we help support those in music, media, the arts, and entertainment be more successful at their careers. And my heartstrings, again, they go to the live business. That's what I grew up in. And so I coach a lot of people in that side of the business. All right. To my left, we have Ryan, Lisa, and Dan. I'd love for them to take a moment to please introduce yourselves and also share how and why you got into live. Thank you. Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. I am an OU alum. I graduated in '04. Really glad to be here for this. Thanks to Andrew and the team, LJ and the team. But I just should tell everybody first, I mean, enjoy your time here. You know, like I miss this place all the time, that's for sure. It's a really cool place. I only got to spend 3 years here because I had one year in Lancaster. But anyways, enjoy your time here. I am really grateful that this summit is happening now. I mean, this is not a thing when I was here. I'm probably hooked now. I'll probably start coming every year. All it took was the first time, and just you guys are lucky to have this and enjoy it. That's for sure. But yeah, to the original question, I did an audio production degree here and didn't really know what I wanted to do in this industry, music industry. Former professor here, Jeff Redfer, was the one who really convinced me to move to Nashville, where I've been for the last 19 years or so. It's close to here, really. It was more affordable than New York and LA to get started in this industry, in this weird industry that we're all in. Love it there. It's growing a lot. And there's obviously a music industry down there. So I just basically, long story short, started hitting networking groups. As soon as I moved to Nashville, I knew I wanted to work in the industry, didn't know what I wanted to do in the industry, but I joined a networking group called Solid right off the bat. I highly recommend it for anybody that is thinking about moving to Nashville. Look up Solid. It stands for Society of Leaders in Development. Really great networking organization. They do Habitat for Humanity builds. There are like tons of charity work, and then there's happy hours too. It's fun. You meet a lot of great people. I met, I didn't know any managers. I didn't know any label people. I didn't know any entertainment lawyers or, publishers, anything like that. But I met all of those people going to that networking group. It was huge. It's just like, okay, I know this is something I don't want to do. Like publishing was not necessarily my kind of thing, but I'm glad that the right people are out there for that, Exactly. So it's like, I've probably, like most people in this room, been obsessed with live music since, 5 years old or whatever. It's like, what am I going to do on the live side of things for a career? It took a little while to determine that selling a live show like I do for my job every day was something I could probably be good at. So, I found out, like you said, process of elimination, really, like that agent was the right path for me. I did a booking internship I did a grad program down in Nashville, an MBA music industry program, which is great. And basically just met a lot more people that way also. And I did that internship doing booking. Started off at the first agency after that, and now I'm 12 years in doing the agency thing. And I'll probably be an agent for my whole career. I love helping artists get to the next level. Agent. Here's a little bit of a common misconception, though. It's like the agent really doesn't have nearly as big of a part on getting the artist to the next level as, say, an artist manager. From my experience, the agent doesn't really create demand like ticket buyers, That's more on the managing side and more on even the label side from my experience. That's just, again, a common misconception I think about agents. But we can't really drive demand, but I know what rooms to put the artists in that would probably give the best ticket sales results in a certain market, and who to package the artist up with to get on a bigger tour and, hopefully play bigger rooms. So,
Ryan, how did you get to Universal Attractions?
So getting there, I basically was over at an agency called New Frontier. They booked the Avett Brothers. I learned from the Avett Brothers agent a lot, about just starting off how to be an agent. After that, I ended up doing my own thing. I started my own agency for about 5 years, which is great. I learned a lot, but it was just me, and I ended up just moving over to Universal Attractions in December of last year. I was looking to join a team again. I missed that team aspect of being at a booking agency. You know, I was on my own for 5 years, which is great. So I love being on the team again. Universal, there's a lot of hip hop artists on the roster actually, which is not really what I do, but I'm booking more rock, blues, Americana, a couple tribute bands, all artists that I love. I've worked with artists that I wasn't as passionate about, and of course, only working on artists that I'm very passionate about now makes all the difference in the world. I mean, it's pretty tough to sell an artist if you're not really invested, if you don't love the music. I mean, it's a thankless job, that's for sure. Like, agents are sometimes the first to be blamed when things go wrong.
Yeah, I know. I want to get to that. Let's put a pin in that for just a moment. Ryan, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Lisa, how about you? How'd you get in? Or please introduce yourself. How'd you get in and why?
I'm Lisa Cave. I've worked in the independent music industry in Columbus, Ohio for over 30 years. I got lucky is how I got into the music industry. It was like huge luck. I started working at a booking agency when I was a teenager, and the woman that started the booking agency was my piano teacher when I was growing up. So she actually started the business out of her home office while I was taking piano lessons from her, and I would stick around after my piano lessons and help out around the office. I'd go to the office supply store for her, go to the post office. I'd create demo packages to send out to clients, which at the time consisted of dubbing cassette tapes. This is how long ago this was. So that's what I was doing when I was like 9 or 10. So technically, I've been working in the music industry in Columbus since I was 10 years old. So she started this booking agency. It really grew, and I started working there when I was a teenager. I worked there for most of my career. I started my own agency about 8 years ago, really started with an emphasis on sync licensing, but really kind of changed and evolved based on the needs of my community in Columbus. A lot of independent artists needed more help with booking and with routing tours and things like that. And that's my community. That's what I really am passionate about. So I started the agency that also books original music. It's called Evermint Music. Books original music for concert series and helps artists route tours and independent venues around the state and around the region as well. And then I also am a talent buyer at Natalie's Grandview, which is a great venue in Columbus. We have 2 stages. We do shows 3 nights, or 3 shows a night, 5 nights a week, 5+ nights a week. That's over 700 shows a year that we present at Natalie's. So kind of evolved into going from booking to talent agent or talent buyer, and really do a bunch of different things there. And I guess the reason that I've stayed in it is just really I'm addicted, and I think I believe that, not only art can save the world, but specifically that artists can save the world, right? So I feel that, the kind of energy that's created in live performance, we've all been there. We really feel this connection when a live performance is happening, and helping independent artists find those spaces for themselves, find their stage, find their audience. That's what I'm really passionate about. So that's why I stay in it. This is a hard industry to be in. It's a harder industry to walk away from. I can't imagine doing anything else in my career but supporting independent artists. So yeah, and I love live music. Who doesn't love live music? It's great.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Hello. I'm Dan Melnick from Sonic Bids. How and why I got into the live music space. So I'm in tech now, but I cut my teeth as an independent promoter. I didn't go to a school that had these kinds of resources. I went to Quinnipiac in Connecticut, and it's a good school, but there's no music industry program. So after graduation, I had no idea who did anything. I didn't get to do a panel like this. I didn't intern anywhere. I was a musician at the time, and that's like I think a lot of us get into it sometimes for that reason. I had that dream of being a touring musician, and I knew I wanted to work in music. And post-graduation, I started out as a concert promoter. I started my own concert promoting agency called Turnstile Music Group when I was 23 years old. And why? Well, I guess it was kind of serendipitous because I guess growing up in high school and college, I threw a lot of keg parties with live music. And then I guess the next thing I know, I could just do that professionally at bars instead of in backyards. And that's how I got into it and why I got into it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. So I'm seeing a theme. A lot of us got in very young here, and actually all of us, and we came up into it, and we collected skills as we went. We learned what we liked, what we didn't like, right? Who are students in the audience today? Yeah. You don't have to feel like you have to figure it all out right now, what area of the business you need to work in. You can collect experiences as you go. And what a wonderful way to approach it, like an experiment, right? Where you can just move into it with a more flow-like perspective. And that way there's not so much pressure to have to figure it out right fucking now. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, really important, I think, just to notice, we're all still here doing our thing. 20-ish, 30-ish years, right? And we've done a lot. So there's a lot, as I stated at the top of the session, there's a lot of different areas that you can work in. And this is just live, right? So pressure off, approach it as a learning and as an experiment. I love that, and it seems to be the theme here, is how everybody's approached it themselves. Lisa, I have a question for you. I want to talk about the importance of collaborations in 2025, both as from your perspective as an agent and as a talent buyer. I'm curious to know, what do collaborations look like now, as opposed to what they look like maybe pre-COVID? And, what did you used to do that's just not working anymore that you've really leaned into now? Yeah.
I think one of the words that I've heard a lot today at a lot of different sessions is the word community, and that's where it's at for me, is really, I think that all of us are really embracing community even harder right now and really kind of turning to each other more. That's one of the things that I'm most proud about in Columbus, is that our community keeps showing up for each other. We keep saving ourselves. We're not waiting for somebody to come and save us. We show up for each other. And I think that's really important too. So what that means for like a space at Natalie's is we are turning to more collaborative efforts, working more with other arts organizations in our cities. There's a blues organization. There's a folk music society. There's, a jazz organization. We host shows along with those organizations too, kind of sharing our audiences with them as well, trying to find opportunities for that. We are leaning more into, more of our local scene too. We have an incredible original music scene in Columbus. And, it's great to have artists. I work with Ryan a lot on national artists that are coming through the area too. That's really cool. But we also have a lot of really great artists in Columbus that really have a great fan base and that are part of our community. They're our neighbors, they're our friends, they're our patrons, they're in our audience. So really turning to that more. We had a show last weekend. It was the 22nd anniversary show for Last Weekend Records, which is a record store in Columbus. And we used the entire space. We used both stages all night long, bouncing back and forth from 5 p.m. I think it ended about 1 or 2 of all of these different bands featured on both of our stages all night long. It was a really great community thing. All of these, bands that haven't played together in 20 years and brand new bands as well. So that was a really cool thing. So we're really turning more to community and what are the ways that we can really collaborate more with not just other arts organizations, but what about other creative and music businesses in our community, other venues? How can we work with other venues? How can we collaborate together? We're not competition. We're community. We're together.
100%. I love this. Thank you very much. I very much felt like the venue space was highly competitive before COVID, and it really has pulled together in different ways, much more collaboratively, to your point.
Absolutely. We really, that's easy for us. These are our people. These are our friends. It's a lot of fun to plan those kinds of things too, and you can actually see the impact that you're making in real time when you're working with people like that.
Lisa, what is the curation process like when you are collaborating with other organizations? Like, who decides the lineup, for example?
It's a little bit of both. We've got a lot of organizations that will come in and say, hey, we want to sponsor, like we do a weekly blues series where it's a happy hour series that's Wednesday nights. They'll say, we want to feature a couple of these different artists that we think are cool in the blues community in Columbus, but they also leave a lot of it up to us. Or we'll have groups, like we have a concert with the Jazz Arts Group in Columbus in April. They're bringing in an artist from New York for that. It's part of their Jazz Girls program. So a lot of times they'll come to us with a show that they want to present and use our stage. So it's a little bit of both.
Got it. I love that. So the flexibility is there.
Absolutely. And we trust each other to really try to make it the best show possible for everybody involved.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Lisa. That's great. Ryan, to you, when you think about collaboration as an agent, what's an example? Maybe you have a story that you can feel comfortable sharing that, like, what feels like a good collaboration between an agent and a client, and maybe a not good, a bad collaboration? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I had we talked about a dream client, for example. I have a client now who, I've worked with her for about 3 years now, and she's basically like a dream client to me in many ways. For an agent, of course, everybody can imagine here, it's like the agent relationship to the artist is obviously very important. We clicked, like, right off the bat. It's just like personality types. I feel like that's obviously huge. Like, this is somebody that, if you're the agent, you're going to have to talk to this artist, at least once a week, probably way more than that. So sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes you have to talk about the bad stuff. Sometimes, luckily, it's usually more of a good thing. Usually more good things than bad, that's for sure. But, you have to have those difficult conversations. So it's like having that relationship with somebody, that base that you establish at the start. Of course, it's very important. Just this client and I, we see seeing eye to eye. That's something that I have run into so many times, is that's what causes friction. To talk about a rough situation, I would say, is like, if you don't see eye to eye with the artist or their manager, like, from the start as to what the plan should be for the next 5 years, for example, it's like, maybe difficult, like, you have to be on the same page from the start. It really helps, to go that route. But she's the dream because she wants to work a lot. She her ticket sales keep getting better and better every year. She's doing more shows than she's ever done. She is more popular than she's ever been, and she's been touring for 20 years. And she's not 20 years old. Like, that's the thing. It's obviously sometimes can be easier for younger artists to grow their ticket sales than older artists sometimes. And like I said, she's not 20 years old, but her ticket sales numbers are still going up, at this point. And so I feel like that's just one of those. It's kind of rare, like, it's hard. I wish I had more of those clients, of course, that's.
Yeah, I have a question. You said something that was really interesting about seeing eye to eye early on with the client. For those of you who might be curious about becoming agents or becoming clients of agents, you're looking to get an agent, what does eye to eye look like? Like, how do you identify that? Like, when you are, I guess, interviewing a possible client, or do you shop them? Or, like, do you shop an artist? Do you court an artist? Like, what questions can you ask them, or do you ask them, to help you determine if this is going to be a good thing long-term for you or not? Absolutely.
I have a long-running list of questions that I try to go through with every potential new client that I talk to. There are probably 40 questions on it, like, that I try to go through with every time. And,
Is this like a doctor's intake form, or?
I think so. It is. There's some similarities for sure. But, do they have any, to answer that question too, it's like, do they have members of the team? The agent, my past agency bosses would always stress this, and I remember, it's like, you don't want to be the first, unless it's, gosh, this artist better blow you away if you're going to be the first person on their team to join them. Like, ideally, you're one of the last people to join the team. There's a manager, there's a really good manager in place. There's a great label in place. There's a great publicist. There's a great lawyer. There's, all those things, all the good things. Ideally, all of those members are in place, and ideally, I know who those people. It's a publicist that I know is good, and that a manager that I know that is trustworthy and has a great reputation in the industry, and a powerful manager, that sort of thing. Obviously, that helps. If the manager works with some huge clients where they can potentially leverage those big clients to get your smaller client slots on a festival or, something similar to that. So it's like, I think just, asking all these questions every time, I have to, that's when I can pretty easily tell. Once I get through those questions, it's very clear or whether or not I should sign this artist. I'd say 95% of the time.
I mean, what I'm hearing you say, regardless of the size of the artist or the size of their team, it sounds like they're organized.
Yeah, I mean, the communication is that's obviously one of the most important things. I mean, my clients need to know where they're playing, when it is, like where our hold positions are. For example, if I'm booking a tour, there's a document that I share with the artist so that they can see where I have holds, when I have those holds, and it's all easily laid out on a calendar, so that just eliminates so many of the back and forth kind of questions that clog up our day. But like that clear communication like that goes a long way. The artists know exactly where they stand on this festival and that slot, this club run and all that good stuff. So.
They know their business.
Right. They know. Yeah, just that's actually what I want to mention was being realistic. When you mentioned seeing eye to eye, one of the biggest things for me is just the artist or the manager, both, they just have to be realistic about the expectations. It's like if an artist has never toured before and they're expecting to get on a support run with My Morning Jacket or something, it's like, good luck, like you got to have some serious power from your manager, somebody on the team to pull something like that. It's just like, there's just so many artists that, of course, that are just unrealistic. Their expectations are sky high right off the gate. Yeah. They think that just because if you sign with this label or this manager that you're going to be on some huge tour right off the bat, and it's just like, or you're going to get this festival. And artists that don't get that certain festival that they want, get really bent out of shape about it, but it's like, that's the part that's tough. Like the artist has to be realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're bringing a lot to the partnership. So it's not you just sign a contract with the artist and now you've just taken all the work off their plates. It's a shared experience.
They have to trust me, and I have to trust them. Yeah,
right.
They have to put their trust in me, and that's not easy for a lot of artists, of course. And I completely understand that. Like they booked their own tours for the last 5 years, and all of a sudden you're turning all that over to somebody you don't really know that well yet. That would be me. So it's like it is a leap of faith from those artists, of course, but. I mean, there's plenty of artists that are willing to do it.
Yeah, sure. That's right. That's right. Thank you, Ryan. That's insightful. And I just want to hit pause here. For any of you who are interested in asking a question, please drop it in the Q&A part of the app, the mobile app, and we will try to get to them at the end of the session. So thank you for that. Dan, over to you. Hi. In terms of your point of view, well, parlaying on what we just were talking about the artist being organized. From your point of view, what can help in 2025? What can help an independent artist coming up, looking to build their team, take on more members of their team, or just go it alone, stay indie? What helps them stay most organized?
I mean, I would say from an artist perspective, keeping track of data is huge. Most artists that I talk to...
Thank you for that.
Most artists that I talk to, if I ask them a simple question of like, give me the last 3 ticket counts for your hard ticketed shows that you've done. And they don't know that information, which makes it very difficult when you're negotiating with talent buyers. Now, from my perspective, experience, and people I've talked to in the industry, talent buyers, they look for a lot of things, and Lisa can probably add to this as well. But the top 3 things that I've gathered are one, your tour history, which is really helpful if you have actual numbers around your tour history, not just where you played, but how you did at those venues. 2 is media of your live performances. It's not done enough. It's most people flop a camera and just record them playing on stage for content for potential fans, but when it comes to the industry side of things, not only is it underrepresented online, but there's a gap of, let's see the crowd, which is also really good for promotion too, guys. Like take a selfie with the crowd. It's a thing. Tag your friends, tag your fans, tag your family. So that helps sharing. And also we're looking at the video. How well are you playing live, right? I mean, there's a lot of gaps. We're talking about streaming and people relying on the recorded side of what they do. Like you have to have it together where your chops are in the pocket. What's your crowd interaction? What's the vibe of the crowd? And what's the size of the crowd? Those are the top 2 things. And then third is metrics. Third. Third. Cannot say it enough. Like 10 years ago, people just booked off of Spotify plays. And we've learned the hard way, I think, as an industry, that a lot of those numbers are bullshit, right? Your Instagram followers can be fucking bought. I don't know, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs here.
It's
so,
true.
yeah,
Keep it in check, Dan.
People have understood that, these metrics aren't always conducive to actual ticket sales. Like, how are you going to get somebody off the couch to come out, right? Gen Z, you guys are coming up. You guys don't drink as much. Congratulations, you're going to live longer than us. 85% less than previous generations. 85% less, right? So how do you get those people that don't go out just to go out to a venue? It helps us too, by the way. It's not all doom and gloom. For the live music industry perspective, these venues, these brick and mortar venues, they need another reason for someone to come to their venue. It's not, your generation is destroying, and I could say maybe in a good way, the corner tavern that people just go to get drunk, right? There needs to be a reason to come out. So you as an artist, how are you going to get those people out? That's a whole other marketing conversation. But how do you represent yourself, the data, and getting those top 3 buckets filled, I believe. And at Sonic Bids, we're actually creating tools around this. So Sonic Bids is a online talent sourcing website to get venues and artists together. That's where we are right now. We're building amazing data tools with some of our partners, like Pickle Jar, who sponsored the event last night here, to help you guys actually have these data points to show potential talent buyers like Lisa. And I feel like Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, if an artist came to you and was like, this is what I do, you'd be like, wow, that's pretty good. And there it is.
Well, yeah, and just the live video aspect of it is so important. If artists don't send that to me, I'm going to Google it, and what am I going to find? I could find a performance from 5 years ago that with a completely different lineup, and that's going, I need artists to, direct me to exactly what I need to see, and I'm looking for exactly that. What is the vibe? Can I imagine this artist in my room? Does that audience look like my audience? Is that venue about the same size as my room? So those are the things as a talent buyer that I'm looking for, too, and agreed that, I used to really pay attention more to Facebook followers and Instagram followers and things like that, because that's your potential audience in theory, or they're bots in Russia. We don't know. So it could go either way. So really what I'm looking for more is a really good show. We're talking about live entertainment. I love a good show. My audience loves a good show. That's what I want to see. We take a chance a lot on some artists that maybe their numbers are not exactly where we want them to be, but damn, that looks like a fun show. And I think my audience would like it. And I think we can sell it. And that's what we're looking for. So I love Sonic Bids for that kind of thing, and that you have it all. It's all a little cute package there. Everything's together as far as what the artist is presenting to anybody.
Love that. I love this. And before I dive into my next question here, I do want to talk about the power of the ticket. There is so much data around the power of the ticket. And who here is an artist? Oh, we have a lot of artists today. Great. This is so great. Know your ticket like it's your business, because it is your business, okay? Whoever you're doing your ticketing deal with, or whoever you're using for your ticketing, know what percentage is going into your pocket and what percentage is not. Understand the splits. Understand if it's a guarantee or if it's a door deal. Understand the business. Make it your business to understand the power of the ticket, because out of that ticket, everyone here gets paid. So know it, right? Do your research. Go on these platforms. There's so many of them. And the power of what Dan is working on right now in Sonic Bids and moving into advanced is going to help you understand that data even better. So I think that there are some tools coming up on the scene that you can empower yourself with that I certainly didn't have when I was performing. So there's lots now available at your fingertips, and you just have to do the research. But do the research. Make it your business. It's your business. Okay. Wonderful. So this kind of goes along with ticketing. Ticketing's in the news all the time. It's usually Ticketmaster in the news.
Brian.
And but not specific to ticketing, but maybe including ticketing. What have the three of you seen in recent times, areas of live that could use some improvement. And any suggestions there on how we might improve it, or any solutions that have bubbled up in your spheres where you'd like to share with the audience? Anybody jump in?
All right, I'll kick it off. I love what you're saying, by the way. And before I forget, like, when you're booking with a venue, like, first of all, not everyone is as together as Lisa is. And, like, you're obviously, like, an art curation. Like, you're really into it. Not only that, you have, the veteran knowledge to be able to make good selections around the artists that you book, right? And I'm sure that someone like Lisa would be able to talk to you about this. But talk with your talent buyer in your market about the ticket split. And sometimes they'll be malleable. Because I had a great conversation with Drew from Digilog last night about this. He's like, why are the tickets so expensive, right? Because, in less than 10 years, the average ticket price for an independent musician, at least in the New York area, doubled. You know, we went from $510 to $1520 in less than 10 years, which is bananas. But that comes from up top. That comes from the landlords. That comes from the cost of goods and everything else that we're dealing with as an amazing society right now. But you can talk to your talent buyer and try to be malleable about this. Like, look, I can get double the amount of people in if we drop the ticket price. You're going to be shooting yourself in the foot because you're going to be going off a ticket split deal, right, in that manner. But if it's going to get people in the room, you know, God, $50 now, but double the amount of people is better than $100 now. Because you guys are trying to build your career as an independent artist. And that's on the independent side. You guys deal with, like, that stuff. I'm just talking independent. Tools-wise, there's some really great tech out there. Chartmetric is one of them. I know you guys are familiar with them. They're a fantastic way to get at actual visuals on your metrics and actually being able to leverage those. We're working with a great company called RealCount right now to be able to give venues an actual look at their data and artists an actual look at their data. Ticketing data that doesn't exist today, which is bananas to me. That artists don't know their own ticketing history is insane. That venues don't know their own ticketing history is insane. Yeah, there's Polestar out there. There's no accountability factors for these things. And we're not working on things to try to share this data with people that, you know, shouldn't see this data, but the owners of the venues, the talent buyers, the artists themselves should be able to have this data and have it housed in one spot. There it is.
Like 1,000%. So you are working on a solution there.
That's advanced, yeah.
Yeah. When can we expect to see this?
Well, the product launch party is next month in Manhattan. We're grinding to get it done. We're in full sprint right now. It's not like my head's all about it while we're on stage right now, but, you know, no stress. It's fine. LJ, we can have another talk later.
We can move on. Thank you for that. No, that's great. That's great. Thank you, Dan. Lisa, how about you?
I guess one thing that I would really like to see improved is, and this is coming from my, you know, independent DIY heart, is that independent artists need to get a little bit more organized and a little bit really. You can do this yourself. I work with, you know, Ryan a lot on shows and other agencies and stuff like that. And I can tell you the communication load between working with a professional agent and working with an independent artist is drastically different. So like between Ryan emailing me saying, we've got this artist routed through and I'm going back and forth on dates, maybe a couple emails. Then they were like, okay, we've got a date. Here's your contract. Here's your assets. Here you go. That whole email thread from we're looking for dates to here's your settlement. It was a great show last night. Maybe 4 or 5 emails that we ever talk about. That's not true for independent artists. Like I've got email threads that are like 30 or 50 emails long. That's too much. I don't have time for that. That's going to like work against you. You have to have a talent buyer that really wants to have this show and make it happen with you, right? So the way that independent artists can really get organized is really just kind of get all of your assets together. Your assets are your photo, your bio. These are things that I need to use to sell your show. Have good video that we can share. Send me a document with all of your social links that we can share. Send me different sizes images of like, this is our poster, this is our, Instagram size, this is our Instagram story size. Send that all to me. Make it really easy. You can compete with some of the bigger agencies as an independent artist if you keep really organized. Our venues rely on that. We're run by a very, very small group of people, and I'm lucky in that I do have a crew with Natalie's. We're a pretty big venue. A lot of venues, it's 1 or 2 people running the whole show, everything, right?
Sometimes they're the bartender.
Exactly, exactly. So like they don't have a lot of time to really dig through that information. Make it easy on the venues that you're reaching out to. Be super organized, be ready, have all of that stuff all together to share in an easy way, and that'll help get you more gigs. That'll help elevate you in the eyes of talent buyers. You're going to look more professional.
So good. Do you have those conversations with independent artists when you're talking to them? Do you take the opportunity to coach them so that they don't do it again?
Yeah. So what I live and die by, like my Google templates, my Gmail templates. I have all kinds of templates depending on what I need from an artist. Once we confirm a date, especially with an independent artist, it's really important for me to go through in really great detail. What is the deal? What does this mean to you? What does an 80-20 split after, our sound fee mean? What does that mean for you? What are you going to take away? Also, what do I need from you very specifically? I need a photo, I need a description, I need all of these things that are going to help sell the show. And one tidbit here, a really great photo can change your entire career trajectory. I've seen this happen so many times over my career that a band will have a new photo shoot and it's a really cool photo and it somehow just like elevates them in everybody's mind that, oh my gosh, this band is really cool. Nothing changed as far as the music went or the personnel or anything. They just got a cooler photo and that somehow like bumped them into a different trajectory. So think about that. Keep creating new content, especially as an independent artist. You don't have to go to a lot of expense for it, a lot of extremes. You can take really cool photos on your phone. It's a really great, easy way to freshen up anything that you're doing. You could have a single that you released 8 months ago, slap a new photo on it, and it's brand new to some people that didn't see it the first time. So keep recreating those things as well.
I love that. Keep that photo fresh and relevant, and it will level up your
I love a
entire.
good photo.
Yeah, it's so good. Great advice. Thanks, Lisa. Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned ticketing, which made me think of a different story, just just a little thing. But so there's an organization that was formed in 2020 when everything shut down called NITO, N-I-T-O. It's the National Independent Talent Organization. And I'm sure everybody here is probably more familiar with NIVA, which is on the promoter side. Like, I'm sure, Lisa, you were part of that. And NIVA has their conference in Milwaukee in June. It's great. Anyways.
That's the National Independent Venue Association. Shout out to Jen Sellers over there.
Yes, Jen Sellers.
Head of events for NIVA and CoMuse. Go see her after. Thank you.
Yes, so, I mean, NITO that I mentioned is agents, it's made up of agents and managers, where Lisa's part of NIVA and Jen part of NIVA. So NITO was formed, during COVID, like I said, a bunch of independent agencies, not the huge agencies, leaving out, William Morris, CAA, Wasserman, like the huge agencies. This is just independent, smaller agencies. The boutiques like us, we all came together, and some of the more established agencies pitched in quite a bit of money to help form this organization because we had to hire lobbyists to lobby on our behalf to get the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, the SVOG that went through.
What a time.
That saved so many venues. We're so lucky.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive for that. Yeah, I was meant to say earlier that I answered the question about why I got into this. And it's like, I thought when I first started in this industry that in live music that I would have job security, that nothing would ever happen to, like, you can't take away a live show. What's going to take away a live show? Like, what the hell? Like, nobody saw COVID coming, obviously. Like, that completely shattered my theory on that and I made zero money in 2020. But anyways, getting back to the NITO thing. It's just like NITO is still going. It's still going strong. I'm on the membership. I'm part of the membership committee helping recruit new agencies that haven't joined us yet or managers. If any agencies or managers are out there and want to join, please talk to me about that. It's very inexpensive to join, actually. So ticketing, basically, like right now, one of the things that NITO that we're focused on is just fixing ticketing in general. I mean, there's so many things that need to be fixed, really, like junk fees, all the junk fees that are included with so many different venues. Nobody explains what they're for. They're just venues that are just, they're just thrown in. It's not necessarily the venues. I don't know. It's hard to tell whose fault that is. But anyways, it's like, and then there are shows, for example, when the Oasis tour went on sale, before it went on sale, was that late last year, whenever that was, all these ticketing sites, plenty of secondary ticketing sites had the tickets listed already. These are not real tickets. Like, they're called spec ticks. That's what I'm, learning about within NITO, and that's a major problem. Like, it's legal to sell a ticket that you don't even own. That's what these sites are doing right now. Like, it's literally legal to do that, and that's something that has to change. Like, there's no repercussions for anybody doing that. So, I mean, some of the people I work with in NITO, they met with like the senator in Tennessee, where I am too, and she's on board with getting this to go through as well. We have to fix these spec ticks. I mean, it's absurd. There's a lot of major problems there with the big tours like that, of course, where bad things really happen sometimes. But
So this, spec ticks, secondary ticket sellers, dare I say, and use the term scalpers. My first job in ticketing was with a scalper. I didn't know it at the time. I just needed a job, and it was an experience, let me tell you. And I learned a whole lot about what not to do. Such an education. Don't work for a scalper, or maybe do. I don't know. You do you. But it is enlightening to be able to understand the difference between a primary ticket seller, which represents the artist and all of the ecosystem parts, everyone seated on this stage, right? Versus a secondary reseller of tickets versus a scalper. And where are you buying your tickets? Where are you putting your dollars? Just be intentional about that. Do your research. Try and check out the primary ticket seller first, because they're most likely selling it at face value. There's dynamic pricing. We don't have time to get into that today. But they are the primary ticket seller, and it is a real ticket. It's a real ticket. But if you're on a secondary site, a reseller site, a spec tick site, a scalper site, chances are it is not a real ticket, and you're going to get to that venue all gussied up and ready to go to a show, and you won't be able to get in. And that sucks. So, know where you're buying your tickets.
For what I know on that, it's like the only ones to be trusted right now. StubHub, unfortunately, Vivid, TickPick, and there's a few more. SeatGeek, like those are all fine from what I know. Like, you're buying a real ticket. But anything other than those sites, do not buy on any other sites other than those, really.
Well, so as an agent, what is the solution that is within your control? Like, what kind of conversations can you have with the artist camp to ensure that tickets are real tickets and they stay on, primary sites or legitimate secondary sites?
I don't know the answer to that right now.
Okay, great answer.
That's what we're trying to figure out exactly. Mm-hmm. That's part of what NITO's doing, too.
Yeah.
I think NEBA is involved with this as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we open this up just for a moment? Anybody else have anything to add to this predicament?
On the scalping side, I don't have to really. I'm all independent, so it's not not going to happen that much. I think there was one scalper at one of my shows when I was like 24, and I was like, "Oh my God, I finally made it!"
You've made it.
But we're concentrated with our partner Pickle Jar that does ticketing with us on just trying to help the artists and the venues out through the data, which we'll get to. But yeah, I mean, it's good luck.
I think as a venue, we see this a lot in that, like in the Facebook event, there'll be somebody like, "Oh, can't make the show. Got 4 tickets for sale." I'm like, "No, you don't. I can look at the admissions list. I know that you didn't buy a ticket." So, and it's hard to squash all of those. So I think part of it is just communication and also just education for the audience. Don't do that. Don't buy tickets from some rando on Facebook that who knows where they're from. Don't trust that stuff. Trust the site. And a lot of times they'll be doing this on shows that are still for sale. We're not sold out, and we're not going to buy it from some, bought online. So I think it really comes down to more communication from the venue side and from the artist side too, really sharing what is the trusted ticket link for this show, making sure that that is front and center in all of your promotion. Where do you actually go that you trust to buy this ticket? And hopefully, people will get the message that we're not buying from untrusted sources.
I would also like to add to this too is that we're not going to name names. I don't want names, but the larger entities in our industry, they're not concentrating on fixing this problem because it's not it's not the primary driver of income. 10% of profits for entities, unnamed, are from tickets. Because the rest of the money that like most venues, make most of your money, just even on the largest scale, from vendors and brand partnerships and from selling food and bev. And that's the majority of the pie. So when we're going to Congress, we're bitching about Taylor Swift tickets. Everyone else is like, cool, go ahead and complain about that. It's 10% of my day. So that's, I think, one of the reasons why it hasn't been fixed yet. Also, there's a lot of the other sketchiness going on, but yeah.
That's great perspective. Right. Where are people's priorities?
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to begin to wrap this panel, and I would love for each of you to share what I like to call a golden nugget, piece of advice from where you sit in the area of live that you work in. So these fine folks can take some new tools away with them for today. Ryan, would you take it?
Yeah, it's been mentioned several times in this, but I just have to drill it home because it's like, before I became an agent, I didn't really know about this, of course. It's like, artists, please keep track of your tour history. All of it. It doesn't matter if this was like, tour history that is 10 years old still helps me as the agent. I've used 20-year-old tour history before. It still helps. Like, please keep a spreadsheet or something like that has date, venue, the ticket price, how many tickets sold, what were we call the gross box office receipts, how much those tickets added up to, of course. That information is it's the most important thing about being a young artist, is keeping track of that information, because it will allow you to get bigger guarantees when you go back to the venue next time to say, no, I have proof that I sold this amount of tickets. I have to tell this stuff to Lisa or she won't give me high guarantees. So you have to you have to have that data. You have to be able to prove that this artist will put butts in the seats, and even when you're just starting off as an artist, even if you sold 5 tickets to that show, write it down. Keep track of this stuff. It's so important. That's what it'll attract agents when you have that information.
Not just for getting an agent, also just for being a great business entrepreneur, right? Being in charge of your own business is just great business practices. I love that. Thank you, Ryan. Lisa, how about you? Golden nugget.
Just how to get involved in the music industry, whether you are a performer or a fan, or you want to start working behind the scenes, you want to get into booking, you want to get into talent buying. The best thing that you can do, the easiest thing you can do, the most logical thing you can do is start getting involved in your community. Wherever you are now, start going out to shows, start going out, getting to know the people. You're going to start seeing a lot of the same people over and over at these places that you go to. Start making friends, start getting connected. You're going to start finding your tribe of people that you want to work with. There are people that I have met, for the first time last week, and I'm really excited to work with. There are people that I've literally been booking for over 30 years at this point. So you're going to see a lot of these people over and over. The music industry is actually really pretty small, where we're pretty connected. You'll see a lot of people that, transition from different agencies to different venues to different kind of jobs. You're going to see these people over and over again. Get to know them, get to network with them. And right now, the political climate that's going on, it's rough. It's going to be hard out there. But the good news is it's always been hard. It's always been hard to work as an independent musician. You got to be scrappy. You got to learn from other people. You have to make your own connections. So there's no better time, I think, to get involved in live music than now. And I think particularly now is a really good time that everybody is really turning to community in a big way. So find your people. And that doesn't have to necessarily be live, depending on what you're into. That could be a Discord group online. That could be another city that you want to move to. That could be, something completely different. Just start doing a deep dive into that, finding those spaces that are meant for you, and you can find your way in. And we've all done that. We all worked our way up through the community.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah.
I guess I would say for not just artists, but we're all, I thought I was an artist. Now I'm in music tech. I had no idea that was going to happen. Some of you guys who, as students that are artists now, you never know where you're going to end up. If you're lucky, you can end up working in this industry because it's tough. But I would say for a nugget for our music industry brethren here, as well as the students, my personal nugget would be brands. Brands, 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 brands. The music industry itself cannot sustain itself upon itself. It's something that has been proven decade over decade over decade. And especially in the live industry, it comes from brand partnerships. And there's a giant vacuum and a huge opportunity these brands want to work with independent artists. They want to work with independent venues. The only thing that's in the way of that is having your shit together. And there's ways around this. I mean, it's probably a whole other conversation. Data is one of them, right? It's content capture, it's demographics, it's metrics, it's decks, it's outreach, it's organization. But if you're going to make it as an independent venue or artist, it's key to work with brands and key to work with organizations. And yeah, I think that's where it is.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. How about a round of applause for these three? So I'm not able to access the questions from my app.
Lisa's on it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Lisa's all over it. Oh, this is dead now.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Yeah. I think we have time for, do we have time for one question? We don't? One question. Okay, we have time for one question. Thank you.
Pick a really good
Okay.
one. All right.
Follow your heart.
Oh, man. These are some really
Love
good
it.
questions. Can you talk about the importance of being flexible and adaptable working in the live music industry? And can you
Yep.
give an example of a crisis you had to solve on the spot?
I was going to say the same one. That's a great question.
Lisa, you want to take it?
So we're seeing a lot of, we're still seeing a lot of cancellations, unfortunately, from just illness and then also just, things that happen on the road and things like that. Sometimes the cancellations are last minute. So from a venue standpoint, we have like this little bank in the back of our mind that like, oh shit, the concert for, sometimes it's tonight, canceled. And we've got a list of people that we know that, are local artists that are, pretty, flexible, that are communicate quickly and that draw pretty well. So you have I hate to be like, don't worry, but, you don't want to obsess about every single thing that could happen, but be prepared. Have like a plan A, a plan B, a plan C in your mind. If something goes wrong, where do we go next? You need to be organized and be ready to start making some calls immediately.
I love that. Anything to add?
I mean, we always said, obviously, we all had to be very flexible during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I rescheduled 35 tours, probably. It was absurd. Everybody has to be cool.
Yeah.
Just be cool.
That's
And
right.
we're all
Don't
dealing with
pitch a
that. We have to
fit.
deal with that together. We have to understand where we're coming from. Well, that sucks, but let's look at other dates, so.
I'd also say Murphy's Law at live shows. Some shit's gonna happen. Have backup drum heads, have backup mics, and have the community to help support too. Which is
You
huge.
just have to, that's never going to go according to plan ever. So you have to be
That is so
flexible.
true.
You have to roll with it.
Resilience is key. Thank you all. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Be kind out there, especially to yourselves. Thank you.
Chat if you want.
Oh, it all